Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome. My name is Will Keller. Thanks for tuning in to the Will Tell Truth presentation series. I'm extremely happy to be here. The last couple of weeks we've been hectic, and my apologies for rescheduling this presentation. I'm thoroughly excited, and happy spring. Blessed spring equinox. This is the time officially. Spring is here. Ostara, new beginnings, the jump off of the actual natural new year, right? Because now we're back into the season of life. And I'm going to talk a little more about the season of sovereignty, is what I call it, versus the season of sacrifice, which is what the parasitical class, that's what we call it, because we can observe some of these events throughout history. And this is a time period that they favor because of the natural energies from the sun and the earth, what they're going through. It is prime, fertile time to have certain type of, psychological operations to create trauma and have certain type of events. So let me check in real quick. How's everyone doing? We are live on all the social media platforms, including my website, willkeller.com, and also on the One Great Work Network. There we go. Give a shout out in the comments. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Now, this presentation, since I had some life events and had to reschedule a couple times, I added on to this presentation, fine-tuned it, all this kind of good stuff. But what I ended up doing was making a massive presentation, huge, over 100 slides. And that would be several hours, and I don't want to do that. So I split it up into two presentations, which I was going to do this anyways. Now the second part is pretty much made, and I'll do some fine-tuning to that. So in 2 weeks, when I have my next live presentation, this is going to be part 2 to this presentation here, spirituality, meaning and purpose. This goes hand in hand with the last few presentations that I did on morality, philosophy, and especially the last one, which was consciousness, evolution or devolution. So this is kind of building off of those presentations. If you haven't seen them, definitely go to my website and check those presentations out to get some kind of foundation to what I'm going to be referencing in this presentation. So without further ado, let me check a couple things. What's up, everybody? Patty, Sarah, Fred, Logan. Excellent. I think that's Steve on Twitter. All right, we got some people in here. Very excited for this. Thank you all for tuning in. The vernal equinox, the energy is prime. It's ripe right now for myself to sacrifice the energy here. Hopefully, you guys get some good value in this. So without further ado, here we go. So again, the title of my presentation is Spirituality, Meaning, and Purpose. Of course, this is a huge topic, spirituality. Everyone has, an opinion, an angle of what they think spirituality is. And within these two parts of presentations, I'm definitely going to cover a lot of ground. In this one, part 1, I'm going to be talking about the meaning and purpose of spirituality. These two words, these two questions, what does it mean? What is its purpose? Can be applied to anything. This is part of the philosophical mentation that we need to do with any type of category, right? So what does it mean? What's its purpose? Let's dive in. So, of course, I'm going to start with my caveats. Simplify the profound. In a world saturated with complex ideas and false concepts, there exists a unique skill, the art of simplifying the profound. My passion and expertise lie in unraveling the intricate tapestry of metaphysical and philosophical topics, transforming them into accessible and easily understandable content that gives someone clarity on what is actually happening in the world by understanding nature. So the mission is clear: to make the profound not only comprehensible, but also applicable in our daily lives through education of the fundamental dynamics of reality, and to gain an accurate perception of the causal factors on how to create change in life. This is my mission statement for all the work that I do. Whether that's, huge, complex topics, and I distill them and synthesize them down. I'm trying to take, my background being deep within the studies and research of metaphysics and the occult traditions. When you look back on those ancient texts and that knowledge, it's hard for a lot of people to make the connection. Well, how does this information apply today? How can I utilize this? What does this mean to what is going on in the world of human suffering, the problem? So that's my mission statement, and that's how I'll jump it off. Simplify the profound. So, seek truth. Truth is the statement or quality of being in accordance with fact in reality. Truth is objective and is simply that which has occurred in the past and is occurring in the present. The truth is not relative, meaning not based upon beliefs or opinions. It is independent of human perceptions and can be discovered, understood, and our subjective perception can align with objective truth in reality. Knowing the truth exists is the prerequisite of seeking knowledge and wisdom. Don't twist my words. Knowing the truth, the totality, the all. That's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about what is going on in the world. We can understand that the truth can be discovered, known, and can be applicable in life, meaning you can align your behaviors to what has manifested and what is manifesting, the truth, in the natural world, in reality. So, seek gnosis. Gnosis stands for knowledge. Knowledge refers to the understanding, awareness, or familiarity with facts, information, skills, or concepts acquired through experience, education, observation, or study. It involves the possession of information that is true, justified, and relatable, enabling individuals to make informed judgments, solve problems, and engage effectively with the world around them. Knowledge may come to us through our senses, by transforming sensed impressions to our consciousness, or it may come to us directly from the cosmos via inspiration, synchronicity, intuition. That is available information for us to filter through the truth discovery process of the trivium, right? Knowledge, understanding, and then wisdom. Grammar, logic, and rhetoric. So, belief is no way required, only the truth. Absolutely. It's our job as human beings. We exist in this reality. Especially, when we're babies up to the formative years, we are a sponge. What are we doing? We are observing. We are taking in the necessary raw data, the information, right? And that lays the formatting operating system for our operation as a human being. So seeking truth, seeking gnosis, this is an archetype of the seeker, the hermit. This can be activated. This is what maybe in the modern terms, someone would say the the conspiracy realist or theorist, someone that is seeking and questioning. What makes someone have that archetype activated is obviously high teachability, right? Where you are skeptical, slightly skeptical, and slightly trusting. There's no polarization to one extreme or the other. You are in balance. You are taking in information, considering it, running it through that truth discovery process of the trivium, considering it, holding it in thought, and then going through that process and applying where need be. So, what is knowledge? Information can show us how to do things, but until we know the why, we have no knowledge. To be aware of effects is to be informed of the physical nature of the universe. Everyone can be informed of the physical nature of the universe and still lack knowledge until he or she begins to know. It is still man in the body, quite unaware. The reality is to learn and grow and is meant for asking questions, meaning the why. Because asking why stimulates critical thinking and discovery of self and nature. So, like I've said many times, we're going on a quest, right? Asking that the most important question, which is why. Now you're getting down to the causal factors. Until you ask that question, this is what I'm implying, that you don't actually have knowledge. Ignorance is the absence of truth. Knowledge is the accumulation of truth. To understand that it is based in truth is to understand the why. And of course, wisdom is the application of truth. Knowledge applied. True knowledge is based in truth, from, of, related to. Belief, on the other hand, is the enemy of knowing. The meme, Master Qyburn from Game of Thrones. Belief is so often the death of reason. So, belief is a statement of accepting something as true or real without conclusive evidence or proof. It involves holding a conviction or accepting a proposition as true, whether it pertains to factual claims, opinions, values, or religious doctrines. Beliefs can be formed through various means, including personal experiences, cultural upbringing, indoctrination, and social influence. They play a fundamental role in shaping individuals' perceptions, attitudes, behaviors, and decision-making processes. So why is belief so dangerous? Why is belief so powerful? I know there's a lot of people. Remember, we're talking about spirituality. It's all about belief in modern spirituality. I'll break that down a little bit later. It's all about your beliefs. Whatever you believe is the truth. This relativistic mindset. It's not the actual belief that is powerful or dangerous. It's the mentalism that is actually behind the information. It's the mentalism. It's the force of consciousness, of mind, that actually has the power. That's what it is. The belief itself is just fantasy, a mental construct, just information, not based in truth. But yet, that mentalism affects behavior, which someone will take actions. They will act on that belief. So it is the mental dynamic that makes someone do something, anything. It's all about the state of mind. This is the first natural law. The all is mind. The universe is mental. So belief is the enemy of knowing, especially in always. That's eternal. That is eternal. But in our current modern age, where we have a major problem in the world of human suffering, people cling to beliefs as security blankets. It makes them feel safe and secure, right? They have something to believe in. Without that activation of the seeker and seeking the gnosis, the knowledge, this is what makes it so dangerous. They are completely unconscious to the information that they hold and how that influences their behavior and actions or lack thereof. So, call it what it is, right? This is something that I try to stand by. No euphemisms. The more accurate our definitions for words or concepts are, the better our clarity of meaning, and therefore our understanding of those words or concepts will be. I will not use euphemisms to sugarcoat words or statements. The obfuscation of words or concepts is common in modern culture and is a direct attempt to confuse, misdirect, and limit information, resulting in lack of understanding, which is the definition of ignorance. So, communication is important, but comprehension is key. What is the meaning of definition? It means clarity of meaning. So I like to define words as much as possible. So when I say a word, you know my position. I like to bring it to the etymology, which means the origin, the original vibration of that word, what it was used for. Sure, words can change through history, right? You say a word now, it's completely in opposition to what the original meaning was. That energy matters. That energy has an effect. So when I say spirituality, there's a whole bunch of people already have their own mentally, preconceived definitions of what that is. So as I go through this presentation, they're filtering all the information that I'm expressing through their own perceived definition. So I'm going to define words, and I'm going to try to simplify the profound. You can raise your awareness. You can gain so much knowledge just by going through the etymology of words. It's mind-blowing. It's one of my favorite things to do. And I'm going to do a presentation on lexicon, on etymology. And I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be in a couple weeks. So we see this all through modern culture, the obfuscation, the inversion of words and concepts. So getting down to the definition is important. So what is spirituality? Right? This is going to be our first category. This is the question that we're going to dive into. So what does it mean? Well, first, let's rewind and talk about meaning. Meaning is a verb. To signify, significance, intend, to do something, have in mind, to think, to plan. That's mean. Meaning, noun, makes sense, that which is intended to be expressed. Also, an act of remembering. So meaning refers to the significance or sense that something carries, either a word, a concept, an action, or an essence. This presentation, and especially part 2, I am going to dive into the meaning of spirituality, the meaning that is based in the natural world, based in reality, facts, logic, reason, in truth. And that's my job, to express that meaning, the significance. What does it mean to you? What does it mean to life? So this is what I mean by meaning. The symbol right there on the right, that is the circle dot. an ancient and profound symbol that I feel represents meaning. Because when you're thinking about meaning, you're getting down to its essence. Okay? That's what the dot signifies. The meaning, clarity of meaning, higher definition. The circle can represent all-encompassing, the universe, existence. And then you have the meaning, the dot. This is another reason why definitions for words and concepts are so important. Out of infinite possibility of meaning, you're bringing it down to the finite. So let's talk about what is purpose. Purpose, to put forth intentional aim, goal, proper function for which something exists. You can also look at it as purpose, right? To intend to do something by design. Purpose refers to the reason for which something is done, created, or exists. It implies intentionality and direction, suggesting that there is a goal or objective to be achieved. What is the purpose of spirituality? The arrow in the bullseye, also the circle dot, right? This is the goal, the purpose for spirituality. What is it intended for? That's obviously a divine question. And also one of self-discovery, which we're going to dive into. So when we think about the modern world, what does the average person think spirituality is, right? This is the exoteric spirituality. Exoteric means the outer ring. If you're looking at the target, the outer ring is the exoteric. As you move to the inwards, to the bullseye, to the dot, you are moving into the inner rings, the inner essence, the esoteric. Obviously, the bullseye is the truth. So, the exoteric of spirituality, right? This is what the average Joe, the mainstream populace, what they think it is. And actually, spirituality, New Age spirituality has definitely changed in the last 20 years from, like the 70s, 80s, and 90s. It's definitely, it itself has its own evolution, which we're going to talk about. But as of right now, this is how I see it, right? You have the Christ consciousness, feeling bliss. It's all about feeling bliss. You have an image of, this is a musician, I forget her name. It's quite funny to, see her and see how she operates. That's got to take at least 10 hours to get ready. But, someone that's quote unquote super spiritual. And then you have, meditation and the chakra systems, good vibes only, a cliche picture, everyone jumping in the air, symbolizing feel good, this, fake sense of unity. And then you have men that are, I'm representing the men as being overly polarized, right? Overly in the feminine energy, the feminine dynamic, and crystals as well, right? Now, the chakra system, meditation, crystals, I dig it, right? These are sections that have certain uses. They are not the purpose. They are not the meaning of spirituality. So in this slide, I would say this is the exoteric. And sure, the list can go on and on and on. But in the nutshell, when you say spirituality, a lot of people think positivity, good vibes only, right? So we're going to do the apophatic method first, talking about what spirituality is not first, and then we're going to dive into what it is, the purpose and meaning. Unauthentic spirituality is where individuals engage in spiritual practices superficially, often for personal gain or to project a certain image. It often leads to polarization, where individuals adopt extreme views and attack others who don't conform to their beliefs. This polarization can hinder genuine connection and understanding. Unauthentic spirituality also fosters passivity, where individuals use spiritual ideas as an excuse for inaction, avoiding personal responsibility and the causal factors of human suffering because it feels negative or uncomfortable to engage. Emotional reactivity is another hallmark, where individuals may claim spiritual superiority but are easily triggered and reactive to external events. In essence, spirituality is not ignoring the truth of the enslavement of the planet. Ignoring the truth at all is not anything spiritual. But with the issues of human suffering and what is going on in this planet, ignoring the truth of that is not spirituality. Quite the contrary, actually. See no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. This is very much a part of the unauthentic spirituality of good vibes only, don't look at the negative, etc., etc. So, I am not here to be all love and light. I'm here to kick ass for freedom, truth, morality, nature, and for the future generations of our children. That's what I'm here for. So I'm going to have a little bit of light, a little bit of love, a lot of bit of anger, righteous indignation, a little bit of hood, and a lot of bit of country. And I'm going to utilize my capacities and my capabilities and my attributes to fight against immorality and slavery as much as possible. Deception. Beliefs. I have no problem saying I don't know. I don't hold beliefs. Right? I am a seeker of truth. That is my goal. This is what I want to do. This is an ongoing, continuous journey. That does not mean I'm going to know everything. That's not what that means. It means that I don't hold ideologies and information that are not aligned to nature and truth. That's what that means. So, what is spirituality? Well, we got to break it down. And we got to start with spirit. What is spirit? The etymology, spirit, from the Latin, spirare, or spiro, or spiritus, means a breathing, respiration, and of the wind. It means breath, or breath of life, inspiration, life, disposition. Also possibly derived from the Proto-Indo-European etymology of, and I could be pronouncing this incorrectly, spesis, to blow. Spirit in the verb means to animate, to make active or energetic, to inspire. So, spirit is the non-physical universal essence of the creative, animating principle of life or life force. One and the same. So when people hear the word spirit, that can come with a lot of religious baggage, right? But what does it mean? Just because a word derives from somewhere, which I would say actually quite the contrary, it derives from a language that is much ancient and much more in symbiosis and harmony with the natural world and truth. So its etymology is most likely dead on. High probability of that. The Proto-Indo-European is, at least for the English language, it's over 50%. That's where the English language derives from. Latin, Greek, Sanskrit, and Arabic. So spirit, what is it? What is it? It is the universal creative life force energy that animates everything. I did a toroidal symbol. To me, this is a good representation of spirit. If I have to use an image, we can see, the sacred geometry, the golden ratio, the toroidal, the hyperboloid, the inverse hourglass, the spiral. We could see this all throughout nature and in everything, right? Very good symbol. So when we think of to animate for human beings, for animals as well, this is where animal, the word derives from the anima, means soul. Now, I want to distinguish soul and spirit. What's the difference? Spirit is the animating life force from source, from creation, from creator that animates everything. Soul, on the other hand, would be the persona that we are developing. The single unit of monad, the single unit of consciousness that we are developing as we evolve in this experience. So, do plants have souls? Plants do not have souls. Plants are connected to the soul of the earth, the celestial soul. Animals, humans have souls. We are here to develop our soul through our evolution. Spirit is that which is animating. It is the dielectric force of life. So what is spiritual? Let's take a look at the word. And again, I'm going to throw some green language in here in a little bit. So spiritual from Latin, spiritualis, or from Latin, spiritus, pertaining to spirit, or of pertaining to breath, breathing, wind, or air. It's also interesting that it's saying wind. In the ancient Comitian traditions, this is how they symbolized spirit. They used a flag because they saw spirit as wind, right? You can't see wind, but you can see it's an effect. You could see the effect of wind. So the symbolizing of the flag also represented nature, which is pronounced nature, which meant creation, creator. So moving on, we have spiral, from Latin spira, a winding around a fixed point or center, a coiling. Proto-Indo-European, we have spare, to twist, to turn. Remember what I said about a fixed point, winding around a fixed point, the spiral. Then we have a spire, which is a sprout or shoot of a plant, a tapering stalk of grass. Also, spire means extended to a height in the manner of a spire, to rise aloft, to rise up, right, in a spiral direction, which, again, moving back to the toroidal, the golden ratio, the spiral, we see this all everywhere in the natural world. This geometry, this is a way for us to observe nature, and put two and two together to have a deeper understanding of us, ourselves, and the macrocosm, the larger forces of nature, right? Everything moves in a spiral, either forward or backwards, either evolving through evolution, syntropy, or backwards, or actually compressing, that is involution, entropy, expanding, contracting, breathing in, breathing out. Everything correlates, right? So, if you break down spiritual, right, you can do spiral or spirit or spire as the first part. The second part, you have ritual. So, what is ritual? Etymology, from Latin, ritus, means a ceremony or practice. Also from the Sanskrit, rite, R-I-T-E, means going, a way, or a custom. Rite also from Latin, ritus, and from the Proto-Indo-European roots of re, means to reason, to count, to observe carefully. Very, very important. This is what our human attributes are. Logic and reason, higher order thought functions, to observe carefully. Observe what? Well, we can observe ourselves, how we interact with others and with all life. We can observe our emotional ecology, our internal ecology, our thoughts and emotions. We can observe our behaviors and our actions, our triggers. We can observe each other. We can observe the natural world and use that reason to understand that there is a flow or a rhythm of life inherent in nature, of creation, of truth. And then we can perform ceremonies, have a custom, have a practice, have a habit that aligns with truth, with nature, with the reason that we have discovered that's inherent from creation. So also the Proto-Indo-European root of ar, A-R, also means to fit together. Synchronicities, syncretism, correlation, and correspondence. Everything fits together. It's also from Latin re, meaning turn back to, again. Self-respect, turn back to oneself, to look again. Return to nature, return to creation, look again. Humanity is in opposition, look again. Remember, respect, return. Now, spiritual, the AL at the end, the suffix, right, that is Latin from the al or the alis, and that means of, like, related to, or pertaining to. Just like natural. Nature means creation. Natural means of, like, from, related to creation. So, what is spirituality? Spirituality is a state of mind and practice. Spirituality is your personal relationship with reality and the progression of evolutionary consciousness. Spirituality is the practice of becoming a moral human being and to seek symbiosis with nature and all its relatives. I'll touch on that in a minute. Spirituality is understanding as a co-creator and steward taking responsibility and right actions towards freedom and higher consciousness. That's spirituality. We can see over here on the right, mind, spirit, body. That's an analogy. Everything is spirit. Everything has spirit. Animate and inanimate objects. Let me explain. Does your house not have a personality from the energy that you have imbued in it? Does your car not have certain characteristics and attributes from you yourself? It is your extension. You are forging energies, your energy, your spirit into the way you keep your house, the way you keep your car, etc., etc. That's what I mean by inanimate objects, right? The way you do a painting, write a book. So, spirituality, we'll go back to this, right? With the spiral and the ritual. The spiral ritual. Spiritual means one understands natural law or the laws of creation, the laws of nature, as the fixed point of creation, and daily habits of right, ethical, and moral action will advance or decline one's personal evolution. Life is not linear. It is a spiral, like the geometry of the golden ratio in the natural world. Our thoughts, emotions, and actions are either in harmony or in opposition with the rhythm of life. The consequences are inevitable. Embodying holistic consciousness to strengthen, discover, participate, and progress forward upon the spiral path is a daily discipline. Your daily choices are your habits. These are your rituals, what you do in the morning, midday, in the evening. This is your ritual. That's simply what it is, habits. Sure, you can have larger ceremonies like today for Ostara, for signifying, officially spring, reverence to the sun and to nature. Absolutely, you can have larger ceremonies. But a condition of the self or of humanity is based on individual actions. The single units make up the whole. So what you do on a day-to-day basis, is it in harmony with creation, with nature, with truth? This is what's going to decide the condition or the quality of your spirituality. So, the spiritual domain. The spiritual domain is often referred to as the metaphysical realm, or beyond the material plane, not spelling error, of existence, or the physical plane. The emphasis on the metaphysical typically negates the physical plane as illusory or less important, but this one-sided focus is an imbalance in perception. In truth, the spiritual domain is both the metaphysical and the material physical plane. For there is no separation between planes. Metaphorically, they are simply two sides of the same coin. Both realms reflect and affect each other, creating a system or substrate of operation. This domain is non-man-made, immutable, binding, omnipresent, universal, and objective, governed by laws of creation/nature. Forgive my spelling errors. I obviously spell check did plan instead of plane, and I overlooked it. But when we think about the exoteric or modern spirituality, there's a huge emphasis on the metaphysical plane, right? So the physical is seen as illusory. Oh, it's the material. It's an illusion. It doesn't matter. That is an extreme, dangerous polarization and imbalance. The physical and the metaphysical are one in the same. It's one unit. Just as the quarter, the coin, you have heads and tails, both sides of the same coin. The truth is the silver. That's what the truth is, the silver. If you're looking at it from heads or tails, you're perceiving it from the heads or the tails, you're looking at it from a half-truth. You only have one half of the perception. The silver in the metaphor of the coin. The silver is the truth, the essence. So this is important to understand. Understanding that you can look at it as more like an inwards, outwards, or better yet, the toroidal, right? The toroidal as a funnel, up, coming down, inwards, up, downwards, outwards, inwards. It's a system of operation. And absolutely, the natural world, reality, the realm of the real, it is objective. Meaning we all have the potential to recognize the objective laws or the objective manifestations that have manifested in the physical realm, right? I say the physical realm because we can use our senses, our five senses, to observe and see that we can observe and gain information in the physical domain. The metaphysical is what? The invisible. It takes higher order functions and processes to discern. This is why it's so important to align our perception with that which is the objective, binding, immutable laws of nature, the governing dynamics of this reality. So, more on the natural world. Again, natural, inherent, having a basis in nature, reality, and truth, non-man-made, or of or related to creation. That's its etymology. Creation is nature, and we are not separate from it. We are a part of it. The living, creative dynamic interacts with humans through principles of expression. These immutable and binding boundary conditions, called laws, are in place by creation, nature, to guide humans within the experience. This realm is a school, the university, for beings to experience, evolve, learn, to lower entropy and apathy through self-synthesis, which is an extraction of impurities or immoralities. Nature and her laws are objective and absolute. The natural world is the realm of the real. There is no lie in nature. It has no euphemism. Getting down to the bullseye. The truth is the bullseye, right? When we think about spirituality and spirit, the creative, intelligent energy that is, and mind, consciousness that is in everything, we are not separate from that. We are part of that system. So, natural law is the governing dynamics of creation, which deliver the consequences of humanity's collective behavior. Natural law is the fundamental substrate for all phenomena. It is real natural order and the objective absolute truth, by which a spiritual, mature human strives for harmony and alignment towards evolution. This is how we evolve. We understand that natural law, the laws of creation, are put there for us to learn and grow through so that we can evolve in consciousness. They are the boundary conditions. So the knowledge of natural law is bridging the threshold from immaturity to spiritual adulthood, whereby a human being has conscience and willfully exercises conscience by moral right action through natural law. The objective laws of nature, which operate in perfection. They are perfect order. It is the real natural order. It is cause and effect. By no means am I saying humans are perfect or that we can be perfect. That's not the case. Like I said, this is a school, a very real school. I'm not implying that it does not matter. I'm not implying that it is an artificial simulation. I'm implying that it is a simulation in the definition of it is imitating the macro. It is imitating creation on the larger bodies, the universe itself. How the laws of nature operate on Earth, it's the same as the universe. That's what I mean by simulation. So we can learn through these laws. And what are we learning? We're learning how to operate, how to align to the rhythm of life, to ascend the spiral staircase, so to say, to become spiritual, to understand what that means and what is its purpose, to become a human being. A human being means that you have logic and reason and care in hand, and you know the difference between right action and wrong action, which is conscience, the knowledge of right and wrong. And then you willfully exercise that conscience in your action. That's what I mean. That's what being a spiritual adult, a true human, is all about. Unfortunately, we do not have that in our modern times. We have immaturity through deception and ignorance. So we talked about spirit, the spiral path. We talked about the natural world, the governing dynamics, natural law. In the natural world, everything is intricately interconnected and dependent on relationships. From the smallest microorganisms to the grandest ecosystems, life thrives through symbiotic connections and interdependence. Plants rely on sunlight, water, and soil for nutrients, for growth, while animals depend on the plants for food and shelter. Even non-living elements such as weather patterns, and geological formations influence and are influenced by living organisms. Recognizing the fundamental role of relationships in nature highlights the interconnected web of life, emphasizing the importance of cooperation, adaptation, and mutual respect for the flourishing of all beings. This is what meaning is in spirituality. It means that we are in relationship with nature, with truth, with creation, with each other. What is the quality of those relationships? Relationship, the definition means your position to. What is your position to the fixed point of creation, to the fixed point of nature? What is your position? What is your relationship to truth? What is your relationship to nature, natural law? What is your relationship to morality, to yourself, to community, to freedom? What is your relationship to the current problem of slavery? What is your relationship to the solution? These are important, vital questions that we all can ask ourselves and should ask ourselves on a regular basis. We are all spirit. We are all connected. We are all relatives. The interconnectedness of all things means what you do in life matters, affects your household, it affects your local community, it affects the whole biosphere of nature. That energy ripples out, reverberates. So what are the billions of human beings? What is their position to truth, to what is going on in the world, to the solution? What is your relationship to honesty, integrity, morality, ethics? Big questions, deep questions, vital questions. That's what spirituality is all about. Asking those hard questions to yourself in the mirror. So, the web of weird. This is from the Norse tradition. The concept of interconnectedness, epitomized by the web of weird in Norse mythology, emphasizes the intricate relationship between cause and effect. Just as each strand in the web is linked to another, every action and event in our lives reverberates through the fabric of existence, shaping the course of destiny, or our condition. Just as the Norns weave the threads of fate, our choices and deeds intertwine with the greater tapestry of the universe, symbolizing that every action and event is interconnected and influences the course of all things. What is your position on the web of life? Because right now, we are not in symbiosis in the collective of humanity. Spiritual adulthood. So becoming a mature human being is not just biological, physical development. It is also psychological, emotional, moral, metaphysical, and philosophical, which all are spiritual aspects that comprise a human being who understands the foundational framework of the self, the natural world, and what it means to be a good human being, what it means to be a good person. In modern society, all of these aspects are deflected, ignored, inverted, occulted, and misguided, which can be observed in the aggregate human condition. Factual, actually happening in the realm of the real. You can observe the level of consciousness in the aggregate, the collective of humanity. You could see what topics they are talking about. You could see their actions. We can see the effect of what is going on, the cause. We can see this. We can determine the human condition. And it is clear that human beings do not have that foundational information of what it means to be a spiritual adult, what it means to be a human, what is objective morality, what is nature, what is natural law. They don't know how to function correctly in reality. So, we have spiritual currency, right? Paying attention. When you pay attention, you are investing. And the question is, are you going to get a return on your investment? So the most valuable resource in the natural world is your life force energy, your spirit. The saying, energy flows where attention goes, is the vital currency of a being that can be used for exchange. Intention is the mental marker to direct your currency. Investment. Energy, or your inner G, your inner chi, is the generating force for interacting with reality. The true medium of exchange is time and attention, which is comprised of inner assets such as knowledge. Another deceptive topic in the modern New Age spirituality movement is it's all about your intentions. That is complete bullshit. Intentions is what you intend to do. It is a mental marker. It is a goal for the mind. You're setting the intention. Okay, I want to do that. But yet you still have to follow through with the action and perform it in reality. So, taking immoral actions, but claiming you had the intention for moral actions, is completely erroneous. Right? Now, intentions it's a tool. It can be utilized. I set my intention for all the points that I want to hit in this presentation. I still have to follow through on that. So, of course, I set an intention. What is that? It's the aim. I'm aiming for where? The bullseye, right? And then my spirit, my energy, the inner chi, the inner G, the generating force I'm using, my essence to act in the world. So when we look at the human condition, what is going on, especially in the so-called spiritual communities, where is all the energy? And I mentioned earlier on the topics, what are they talking about? What are they focusing on? What are you paying attention to? Where's the investment? Is it on the problem? Is it on the root of the problem? Is it on the correct solution? More questions. So, utilizing spiritual currency that obviously has frequency, vibration to it, movement, which is a principle of reality. So, paying attention. I want to get into more of the meaning of spirituality. And 100%, it is freedom. The freedom to utilize and express your spiritual currency, your spirit, your energy. What is freedom? Freedom is the state of free will expression without the violation of natural rights. It is the condition of being free, the power to act, speak, or think without externally imposed restraints, the emancipation from slavery. So, freedom is your inherent, based in nature, right to express yourself by any means as long as you are not violating another's natural rights. Now, when we take this definition of freedom and we apply it to the world today, are we free? And the question, if you're being honest with yourself and if you paid attention, the answer is absolutely not. Externally, the majority of people are internally enslaved as well, right? We have duress, coercion, the violation of natural rights, murder, rape, taxation, which is theft. All of those are slavery, because slavery is a claim of ownership. I claim you. You can't use your currency, your spirit, your expression to perform this. That is a claim of ownership. That is the definition of slavery. But the meaning of life is to achieve true freedom by discovering our sole purpose and by expressing it out into the world, thus contributing to the uplift and the evolutionary growth of humanity and the planet, right? Expanding the web of weird. Expanding the spiral of consciousness. That is evolution. More expansive, more diverse, more unique. It's artful. It's an expression of art, divine art. So through knowledge, understanding, and right action in accordance to the laws of creation is the key to unlock the doors of our enslavement and achieve humanity's purpose of active, conscious evolution. Right? The meaning of life, why we are here to express and learn and evolve. That's freedom. But yet, we are in a state of restraint, of control and duress. We cannot express ourselves freely because we are in a state of slavery. Boom. That is the problem right then and there. It's time to pay attention to that actual problem. That is the root of the problem. Of course, we need to ask why, which we will get into. So, life is meaningless if you are enslaved. Does one think just because you have a cage and you have food and quote-unquote security, you are free? Absolutely not. You are a slave. No growth there. You will contract on the spiral, the spiritual path of consciousness. No growth there. That's an illusion. We want to evolve. And of course, my last presentation on consciousness, right, I touched on this in depth. So that's the meaning of spirituality. To understand freedom. That's for all. For human beings. The meaning of life is freedom. Of course, you are having your own subjective experience, so what you do matters. And what you do with that, with your life matters, right? But on the macro, looking back, zooming out, the meaning of life is freedom. What is the purpose? Humanity's purpose in the collective, in the aggregate, when we learn that nature never takes anything which is not given, and that the cosmic law is based upon giving and re-giving equally, we shall have advanced far towards our spiritual goal. Man's purpose on earth is to build happiness, peace, and goodwill on earth. He can find peace, happiness, and goodwill only as he ceases to build chaos. He has been building chaos and expecting this chaos to crystallize into unity, which is impossible. The whole universe is purposeful, and that each thing must fulfill its purpose. Humanity must find that purposefulness lies in the alignment of natural moral law, not in the direction of chaos, which is rooted in the opposition to nature. So what is humanity's purpose? Our purpose is to end slavery. This is a collective event, a cooperative event, because we are being restricted. The natural world in its whole, the web, is being affected in the biosphere. As above, so below, as within, so without. If we do not make this our purpose, we will continue down the road of chaos, control, duress, slavery, and it will get worse and worse per the laws of nature. Give and re-give equally. If we, humanity, in the aggregate, we are giving immorality, opposition, ignorance, we are going to get that equally back in the form of chaos, disorder, suffering, pain. It's very simple. Cause and effect. That's the law of attraction right there. So in the aggregate, humanity's purpose. Now, naturally, our purpose is to create peace, happiness, and goodwill on the planet so we can evolve up in the evolutionary process, which we can achieve at some point. But will we achieve that? That's up in the air. That's going to take an act of will. But as of now, in our current situation, what we need is cooperative spiritual anarchy. Cooperative meaning together, in unison, symbiosis, spiritual anarchy. Anarchy meaning no rulers, no masters. That is the true purpose, that is our intention. That's what we need to get to. But of course, having that intention can be a total bypass of what is actually going on in the here and now. We need to be grounded in our mind, in our perception. We need honesty of where humanity is in the here and now. Feet on the ground, boots on the ground spirituality. All right, sovereignty. So we are here. This is human purpose. You can see this as even an individual human purpose. We are here to master being human and become our sole purpose. Each of us is here to learn and evolve in consciousness into our own unique expression of self-mastery. Your goal is to discover and activate yourself to uplift and inspire humanity to do the same. You are not here to be enslaved, and this is not a prison planet inherently. Oops. Put that back on. There we go. I'll say that again. You are not here to be enslaved, and this is not a prison planet inherently. The natural state of this planet is one of freedom, one to promote evolution. But of course, to have true freedom is to have the potentiality to fail. It's to have the potential of evil or living in opposition. To live backwards is evil. That potential is always going to be there. We mitigate that through knowledge and through wisdom. So, sovereignty is our inherent purpose. Each and every single human being, you are a sovereign, meaning you are above rulership. You own yourself. You are not a slave. But unfortunately, the majority of people are acting like it. They are acting like slaves. They are unconscious and supporting and condoning slavery. Evil is ignorance. So, evil is violating natural rights, condoning and supporting immorality, which the majority of people do, hence the current condition on this planet. Evil is an extreme imbalance whereby the force of involution is dominant over evolution for humanity. Now, involution is a universal force that will always exist, but the extreme polarization of evil absolutely does not need to exist. This does not mean that we will have a utopia. The word utopia means nowhere. It's non-existence. It's a fantasy. It means that in a state of true freedom, the potential for evil is always there, because that is what freedom is. Pure potential in harmony with nature. Humans will have the potential to fail and learn from their failures, because this is a realm for learning in consciousness. But that does not mean extreme willful ignorance of the most critical, foundational, and functional laws of morality in nature. To be ignorant of natural law and morality is to be participating and to be in the vibration and the path of evil, because evil backwards is living in opposition to creation, to life, to spirit, to spirituality, true spirituality. You are living backwards, and we are all connected. So what you do affects the whole. What I do affects the whole, etc., etc. So, another example, you can look at it as pain and suffering. Pain is inherent to the natural world, to nature. It's a part of this learning process to experience pain, right? Whether that be, working out to get in shape. Look at childbirth. Painful. Obviously, that pain is for a purpose. That's amazing, magical. There's also pain that harms us from trauma. Now, what's the difference between suffering and pain? Well, by definition, suffering is an allowance of an extreme amount of pain. So although pain is natural and part of the growing process in nature for human beings and for animals as well, pain is part of the process. Suffering is a choice, where most people are unconscious to the reason, to the why they are experiencing so much pain. That is suffering. And you don't have to have suffering. We don't have to be dragged through the abyss, our children potentially in the future shackled and chained, for them to finally realize, oh shit, we're enslaved. That doesn't have to be that way. That's going to take what we do, what individuals do. So, I know I've I know I've talked a lot about the problem already. I'll run through a few of these slides. So, the problem, cosmic crimes. The enslavement of the planet is a cosmic crime of the highest order. The culpability lies with those performing the actions, meaning the ones actually performing the behavior of violating natural rights, which perpetuates the system of control, coercion, violence, and slavery. These behaviors are completely ignored and or willfully complicit with by the majority of the human family. Their silence is contributing to the problem, which by ignoring the negative, more of that condition will manifest. That which we resist will persist per the laws of cosmic moral justice. That which we resist will persist. So absolutely, this opposition to nature, we are in an imbalance. Too much involution. We keep heading down that path, then extinction is a possible result. The killing of the planet, potentially, it's a living being. We are all connected. As human beings, we are the stewards of this planet to take care of, entrusted to one's care. That's what stewardship is. And we are doing a horrible job. So those that are performing the action, the police, the military, nurses, teachers, anyone that is performing the action. Look at the needlecraft. Any nurse that performed the action of, injecting needlecraft into someone, you're culpable because you performed the action. The police and military dropping bombs and killing people right now, it's your fault. You are performing the action. You have the majority of culpability. Now, yes, of course, there is social engineers behind the veil at the top level of the pyramid, orchestrating and influencing with their knowledge of natural law. They are influencing these people, but that does not negate the culpability of someone that actually performed the action. So, religion, the one and only problem. Hope you guys are enjoying this. All right, religion. Now, the exoteric, or I should say modern spirituality, the modern New Age, is very much intertwined with what I'm going to talk about. I mean, directly. So, religion, let's do the etymology. It's from the Latin verb religare, meaning to bind, to hold back by tying, to thwart from forward progress. I talked a lot about this in the consciousness presentation. To bind back. Bind back from what? To thwart from forward progress. What's the progress? Evolution, evolving in consciousness, becoming a spiritual adult. That's what religion does. Religion is a system of sociological control based in unchallenged, erroneous, and dogmatic belief, which is specifically designed to hold back the progress of human consciousness. The term religion does not merely refer to the belief systems of the cultural religions, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, etc. Religion, in a wider sense, must be recognized as an active form of mind control, placed into human society by social engineers. Religion, in this wider view of the term, includes an array of limiting and controlling belief systems or social structures such as authority, government, money, mainstream media, scientism, materialism, solipsism, carnism, nihilism, escapism, hedonism, atheism, and even spirituality, the exoteric spirituality, and many more. The list goes on and on. Buddhism, all of those. If it thwarts from forward progress, it isn't a religion. It isn't a religion. It is a cage for your mind. It is a limiter of awareness and perception. All of the cultural and modern religions have some common factors, such as the adherents tend to be very intolerant and destructive to outsiders because they are cults of exclusion. This is very much directed to the cultural religions, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, right? They are cults of exclusion. No, my way is the truth. No, my way is the truth, etc., etc. They all think that they have the path to truth. So another common factor is there is an abdication of responsibility, meaning one gives up their obligation and duty to act in the world and to align themselves to truth and morality and natural law. They do not align with nature and are dogmatic. They are belief systems because you need to believe and accept them and not actually use logic and reason. They're not based on facts. They are dogmatic. They all claim to be the arbiters of truth, reason, and authority. All religions that thwart from forward progress all claim to be the arbiters of truth, reason, and authority. Look at government, the belief in human authority, saying that they are the highest reason or truth or authority, and you must obey. If not, you will be violated. Look at Christians saying that Jesus is the way, the light, the truth, etc. Even Buddhism saying it's all about non-attachment. Like that is the ultimate reason, etc. You can go on and on. Now, I'm not saying that there are for the cultural religions, there are aspects of truth in these cultural religions in context to the religious doctrines and ancient texts, but it's 90% deception because we're talking about a man-made mental construct, 90% deception, and 10% based in truth, which is allegorical, archetypal, metaphorical, metaphysical, and astrotheology. But people don't have the eyes and the ears to see and hear that, to discern the information and how it relates to nature and to truth. So, all forms of religion are what put the human mind in a cage and keeps it there. We have to understand that religions have been given to humanity. They are man-made. And what is the reasoning for that? To control the mind. If you control the mind, then you can manage currency. Spiritual currency, energy, spirit. You can manage it because you are influencing someone with incorrect information, and then they are going to act upon that incorrect information. So you can control humanity. You can control society through mind control. And this is exactly what is going on. How does someone know that salvationism? Absolutely, Fred. That's a good one. That's a good one. A lot of these religions, there's another common denominator, right? Oh, if I just have enough money, all my problems will go away. Oh, if we just get this person in political office, all the problems will go away. Jesus is coming back to save us all, right? salvationism, looking for a savior. That is an abdication of responsibility. Good one. I looked over at the comments. I'm sure there's some really good comments in there. So we got about 70-something people in here. Fantastic. I love it. I hope you guys are enjoying this. So let's talk about another religion that's predominant and related to the New Age spirituality circles and communities. That is solipsism. What is it? Solipsism, derived from Latin solus, meaning alone, and ipse, meaning self. Solipsism is the ideology that only one's own mind is sure to exist. Solipsists contend that knowledge of anything outside one's mind is unsure. The external world, including other people and objects, is uncertain or even regarded as illusory. Solipsism poses a radical skepticism about the external reality beyond one's own subjective experience. Solipsism is a diseased religion and a defining hallmark of spiritual infancy and human immaturity. I know nothing. One thing, the only thing I know is that I know nothing. Right? That's the quote down there. Solipsism is egotism. Me. It is relativism. One's own mind is the only thing to exist, the only thing that person cares about. This is very much in the New Age, circles. We can look at, and here's the example: star seeds, indigo children. Now, again, I'm not knocking that concept, but the action and the message that is associated with that is what I have a problem with, because a lot of the concepts that come with that is that we chose our soul path. We chose this incarnation. So I got to pick out a fucking menu and say, oh yeah, I want to, okay, I'm going to experience that type of suffering. And oh, okay, pedophilia, child rapist. Okay, I guess I got to experience that this go round. You got to be out of your fucking mind that people actually believe that it's all about one's own self and that we are just on these spiritual journeys just for simply pleasure and experience of all types of things. That's not how it works. Evil is being committed, and we can understand that. It's not just an experience. So, moving on. This is where the mental division comes from. There's two categories that we can categorize, in the aggregate for humanity. So the first one is master think. Two types of thinking. Again, this is I'm building off of my consciousness presentation. The first half of it I did in that presentation. This is going to be related to this one. So we have master think, and that is someone that is extremely left brain dominant, meaning that the dominant hemisphere of the brain is predominantly firing. This is where they're operating from. And the hallmark characteristics are atheism, scientism, solipsism, moral relativism, social Darwinism, and totalitarianism. Woo! And on the second half, we have the slave think, which the master think is extremely active and controlling externally, wanting to control. Slave think is the right hemisphere of the brain, firing, more dominant, and it is extremely passive, internal. Religion, unworthiness, self-loathing, addiction, order following, and a willfully slave, just following orders. So, these two we can look at in the aggregate of humanity. There's many people are firing in the right brain hemisphere, very dependent on that. And these are the attributes, or the left brain. When we think about New Age and spirituality, nowadays, there's a combination of both, ultimately, right? But we can see that it leans very much to the slave, passive side of the brain. Although I would say in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, that era, it was very much passive. Cultural religions like Buddhism really had a huge influence on that state of mind, which is all about, non-attachment. But nowadays, with solipsism and moral relativism, that is also an active form. So we're starting to see a blending. But what do these two have in common? The media, money, the financial institution, and diet, malnutrition, are forms of mind control. The social engineers are using mind control and their techniques to polarize the public into one of these two camps. Now, they both are willfully ignoring reality, and they both have cognitive dissonance. This is the parasitical class, feeding on that currency, that life force energy, like a parasite, feeding on the public. Because the population is polarized to one side. And when you're polarized in the mental division, starts from the mind, then you start to get a worldview division as well, meaning how you perceive the world works. So we have randomness worldview. Everything's a grand accident. There is no underlying intelligence in nature. Natural law does not exist. Existence is purposeless. Hallmarks of atheism and scientism. That's on the master think side, the left brain dominant. And on the right brain, the passive, it's determinism, meaning everything is already predetermined. God controls every event in creation. All occurrences are preordained. Free will doesn't exist. Change is impossible and action is meaningless. Hallmarks of religious extremism, right? Spirituality, the New Age, it's all about the spiritual domains. Doesn't matter what's going on in the physical, what is going on, what actually in truth is going on the planet, because we're all in our own individual reality, having our own individual soul path, and that's all that matters, is that we have good vibes and happiness, selfish happiness, exactly. There's not a greater purpose to why I'm here, what the meaning of why I'm here, what the purpose of what is going on in the world and what I should do. It's all passive. It's largely focused on the afterlife. After I die, heaven, hell, right? Etc. The astral realm. God's got everything in control. Trust it. What would Jesus do? Jesus has got that. So, these are the two overarching worldviews that the majority of people see. It's either randomness, everything's a grand accident, etc., which is highly analytical, left brain. And then, of course, determinism. God controls every event in creation. No need to take action. Free will doesn't exist. And both of these are polarized and incorrect. That's where the social engineers want people. In truth, natural law exists. Natural law is the deterministic component. And we have free will, which is the random component. So in fact, in truth, in reality, it's both random and determined, meaning that we have the free will choice to choose our actions, to make our choice, but absolutely 100% we are not free from the consequences of our actions and our choices. Natural law is going to respond to that. I give an action, I'm going to receive from nature, from the laws of nature, an equal action, reaction. So, sorry. Let me go back to that. Well, I'll leave that in there. Inversion and obfuscation. The social engineers love two principles called inversion and obfuscation. They love to take the truth and flip it upside down and propagate that to the public in the educational systems and all throughout society. And they also love to obfuscate words and concepts for confusion. Because again, if you don't have the correct information, then how can you make a correct decision? Right? So this is being propagated. So what they call natural is artificial. Simple is complex. Gnosis or knowledge is belief. Principle law, natural law, they have man's law. Dominion, punishment, meaning you have dominion over yourself. You own yourself. Sovereignty, right? But of course, in the social engineers' worldview perspective, you cannot express yourself. You will get punished for your dominion over self. Individuality, groupthink, truth, lies, good, evil, freedom, and slavery. They invert everything. Just as human beings are disconnected from nature, from the rhythm of life right now, is because we are living backwards. We ourselves are in inversion, inverted. And we are in a state of internal confusion because of our ignorance and what we think certain aspects or how the world operates from our worldview. We think it works a certain way, and in reality, we are incorrect, and that affects our behavior. Inversion and obfuscation. So the mental division, the worldview division, inversion, and obfuscation obviously leads to delusion and illusion. A lot of IONs, which is done intentionally. ION is what? Energy, an ion. That's right. Making you work for your money, for your monai, for your currency. What is delusion? Delusion is a false, fixed belief. Internal. In the mind. And illusion is misinterpretation of external stimuli, which is external. Internal and external. Humanity's disconnection from nature, truth, knowledge, and objective reality is increasingly evident in modern society. The spiritual community is delusional. False, fixed belief on the current condition of consciousness for humanity because they cling to illusionary constructs of mind and religious fervor. This is due to social conditioning, incorrect parenting, cowardice, and ignorance. Because of the illusions that the spiritual community cling on to, like solipsism, moral relativism, there is no truth. Separation from nature, the savior complex, that we are going to be saved from the Galactic Federation, the Blue Avians, the Palladians, whatever it may be. That's the savior complex. I need a savior. Mommy, daddy, come help me. Come save me, please. It's like, come on, we need to fucking grow up. But through that, those false axioms, those fixed beliefs, they are, of course, not acting in the world because they cannot perceive the actual problem, the why of what is going on in the world. So they are inactive. They do not take action. Or they have cowardice. They are not activated in care, in heart. We need to bring the unconscious mind to the surface, right? Understanding the conscious mind is the awareness of here and now. I have awareness of what I am doing. The unconscious mind is the shadow. It's not about eliminating the shadow, the subconscious or the unconscious mind. It's about bringing it to the surface. It's about integrating our inconsistencies, our false beliefs, and our erroneous thought forms, bringing that to the surface and looking at ourselves and bringing it to the light of awareness and knowledge and truth. We do that. We are using the ego. The other misconception and deception in the New Age movement is that ego death. You got to kill the ego. Now, sure, ego dominance is a thing. That is left brain, master think, controlling. But you cannot get rid of the ego. The ego is related to our subjective experience, my vessel, the persona of me. I am will. I know to grab this cup and put it up to my mouth and not my buddy's mouth. So there is no killing the ego death. What we need is knowledge, understanding what the ego is, and unifying our self, our essence, our spirit with our physical vessel and the persona attached to that. In balance, in harmony. That's what we need. So another polarization and imbalance in the New Age movement, one that we can use. And I think people are scared of that. They're scared of the ego. They're scared of the objective fact that you need to take action, that you need to look in the mirror, that you need to shed light on something that is uncomfortable for you. Stepping out of your discomfort zone in life, in any aspect, whether that be, a personal issue, a relationship, etc. Like a romantic relationship, we need that courage to look, to have that self-respect, that respect, right? To look again. So, spiritual sidelining. Many people stay stagnant in a passive state of inaction, the sidelines, and never activate actions. Using false spirituality and as a justification or excuse, typically veiled under the guise of detachment of the material physical plane. Unlock your inner narcissist, right? Discover the hidden power of self-obsession using watered-down Eastern philosophy and half-baked New Age pseudo-spirituality, right? Again, I've touched a lot on the passiveness of the spiritual community. rooted in ignorance. They do not have the correct information of what is going on. They don't have the correct information of what it means to be a spiritual human adult. Right? So they are in action. But staying on the sidelines, I also refer that to the people that do know this information. If you understand the problem, what is going on in reality, that we are enslaved due to our ignorance of objective morality and natural law. And we are going to continue manifesting that until that knowledge is in the minds of the majority and aligned with in our actions. If you know that and you're on the sidelines, you need to take a look again. You need to have self-respect. Ask yourself, why am I not getting on the battlefield and taking action? What you do matters. Another deceptive New Age thing that I've seen a lot of, it's really rampant, is this notion of that I am God. You see a spiritual person say, oh my gosh, I had the realization that I am God. I am the creator. Well, I'm here to tell you, you are not God. A notion of modern spirituality is the realization that you are the creator of the universe. This belief is rooted in solipsism and moral relativism. This is a deceptive belief taken from the fact that human beings do have the divine spark of life, which is spirit. So we are imbued with spirit. We have that. This belief, you are the creator in the flesh, is derived from Christianity's Jesus figure. The modern New Age movement is very much repackaged Christianity. New Age religion, same old mind control. So, let me explain this. Of course, we are endowed with spirit, with life, with the divine spark, because we are alive. That's the evidence right there. You are alive. The animated force is inside you. You can see in the natural world, everything in the natural world is alive, is endowed, imbued with spirit. But that does not make you the creator of all. What it does mean is that you are having an experience in an objective reality to learn how to lower entropy, learn how to work your way up the staircase back towards those higher levels of consciousness, maybe eventually to godlike consciousness or source consciousness. But this notion that you are God and that you're accessing multiple dimensions and you're not even living in the 3D reality is complete, utter bullshit. That is solipsism, moral relativism, and an abdication of responsibility and what is actually going on in truth, in reality. It's not grounded in the here and now. That's the problem. It's not grounded. So, let me touch on the word God. Where does God come from? The etymology. Well, it's Proto-Indo-European, got, which means that which is invoked. That's what the etymology is. Or, potentially from Sanskrit, Gia, I think that's how you pronounce it, I'm not sure, means to call or invoke, the same thing. So think about that. You could ponder on that very much. When someone says, I'm God, or they mention, or I'm praying to God, they are invoking. What are they invoking? Well, I would say anything, whatever they think is God. Whether that be a cultural religion, money, government, Donald Trump, yeah, people worship him like a god, like he's the second coming of Christ. Come on now. Delusion and illusion. Come on. So that's a little, something to think about, that word God. So, but what ultimately, when one thinks that they are God, it means that they don't have to take responsibility. They have a lack of correct action because it's all about their experience, right? Solipsism. So, lack of correct action. Unfortunately, the so-called spiritual movement is not evolving towards holistic consciousness and true freedom due to their ignorance of natural law and objective morality. They are intentionally stagnant and stuck within the liminal space due to incorrect knowledge and the lack of processing of the transitional phase, right? Liminal. The liminal space means the in-between. If I'm in my studio and I'm walking to my bedroom, the hallway is the liminal space. The liminal space is where the work is done. If I'm sitting in my studio and my intention is to be in my bedroom, I have to physically walk through the hallway, the in-between, before I'm actually in my bedroom. That's a metaphor. That's the liminal space. So they are stuck in that liminal space, meaning they have the awareness, potentially, of the causal factors of what is going on in reality. They want to take action. They have the intention, but they're not activated. That's because they have not done the internal work in the liminal space of figuring out what the roadblocks, the blockers in the mind are there that are hindering them. Eliminating the religions that are tying them back from forward progress. In short, ignorance of true spirituality will thwart forward progress of evolution in nature. In the spiritual movement meaning you're going somewhere, or freedom movement, or truth movement, right? Movement means you're going somewhere like what? Like a spiral around, coiling around a fixed point, a fixed center. Except the freedom and truth and spiritual movements are way the fuck on the outside in the exoteric. They're not moving towards the dot, to the cause, to the truth of spirituality, of what is freedom, etc. So, let me get this one ready. We need to realize, brothers and sisters, my relatives, it's a Native American saying. Many Native American tribes, this is how they refer to all life as relatives. Plants, rocks, animals, other human beings. You're my relative. We are related because we are in a relationship via spirit and creation. And what are our relations, etc. Oh, what'd I do? Okay. 1 second. So this next slide, we're getting, we're on the home stretch. Got about 15 more slides. Just got to drink some water real quick. So we're talking about the problem, lack of correct action. Now, if you haven't got the memo, I'm here to tell you that we are at war. We, underlined, all of us, all human beings, animals, the plants, the minerals, the planet, we are at war. A spiritual war for souls. That's what this war is. A spiritual war for souls. You can look at soul as when we're taking that journey to evolve in consciousness. This is the path of our spiral where we are evolving through the lifetimes. And that occurs vast amount of spirit, of energy, of life force that we all have. The social engineers, that's the currency that they feed off of. They want to stunt that soul path of people. And they want to feed off that energy, that loosh that it is emitting, that involution. It's because they want to play God on planet Earth. That's what they want to do. They understand natural law exists. They know they're not above natural law. This is why they influence. They influence the masses, and they get the ignorant masses to actually perform the action. It bypasses the culpability from them. So, the solution, the soul-lution, soul, you, ion, right? This is talking about individuated. That's what the soul is, the individuated unit of consciousness. You, me, everyone else. And then the ion, the energy that you are going to put from your soul. We need to understand, real quick, understanding causes, right? The plane of effects and the plane of causality. So what we call the material plane, the physical realm, this is the plane of effects. This is the manifested reality which formed because of their causes. Now, there's no change in the manifested reality because it already manifested. It's here. The plane of causality is the why that underlies and precedes manifestation. The plane of causality is the metaphysical dimension, realm, mental, mind. Everything is mental. This is where it stems from. This is where it starts. Starts from the mind. Your mind instructs, the heart, the emotions direct, compass, direct the energy, and your actions construct. So, we need to understand that to affect any change at all, it must be in the metaphysical, causal realm of mind. Now again, this is a system that works together. We can talk about them as a description and an explanation to understand ourselves and understand the cause, the why of the enslavement of humanity, the why, the inaction in the spiritual movement. And it's always rooted in the mind, which I explained earlier in the problem. The worldviews, the ignorance, the polarization. So if we need to affect change in the world, it has to start at the metaphysical plane of causality, meaning that we need to influence people, influence their minds. This is what my goal, this is what I'm doing now. I'm using my spirit, my creative essence to express artwork. This is art that I'm doing. Art is creative expression. I'm using that creative essence to convey and deliver information and a message in two hopes: to educate viewers, to inspire viewers to look again, to look deeper, not to believe me, but to motivate you, to motivate you and research more and look into it more, to hopefully activate internally yourself to take action in the external world. So, this is how it works. State of mind. This is the co-creation roadmap. Where is humanity going? That's how we're going to affect change, right? We need to understand, like I said earlier, the web of weird. Everything's connected. Human beings, we are each a co-creator, right? Meaning we each have the capability to create, not reality, but to create, meaning to build and influence our environment. Then the collective, the totality of that currently is what we call the aggregate or the collective. And then what is the condition of that? So where is humanity going? If we start from that first principle of mind, right? The inner G, the inner chi. The G stands for, even in Freemasonry, the G stands for generative, generating, generation, genesis, etc. Many meanings. But that G stands for the generating principle, attribute. And if that is fear, which is ignorance, the absence of love, or the contracting aspect of consciousness, if you start from that, which all fear, right, is based in ignorance, the unknowing, fear of the unknown. Now that fear is going to, it's so funny, it's going to lead to cowardice and inaction, which will lead to obedience, conformity, or inaction, which is the emotion. And then the action is going to get slavery, stagnation, involution, and chaos. All right, let me try to. So if we have fear in society, if we have ignorance, the absence of care and morality, and we are in discourse and duress, of course, that's the state of mind. The emotion is going to be obedience and conformity and inaction. And that's going to lead externally as slavery, stagnation, involution, and chaos and disorder. Now, if we have love, love is such a broad term nowadays, right? What do I mean by love? I mean knowledge, truth, wisdom. That's the absence of fear. It's expansive. That's the mental generated attribute, which will lead to responsibility. Responsibility, courage, diversity, and right action, which externally in society is going to give us freedom. So the more people, which freedom is creation, evolution, and order. So right now, we are in the state of slavery, chaos, involution, duress, violence, is because of, back to the first generating attribute, of fear, of ignorance. That is why. And that will grow all the way into slavery, the condition we currently have. So, to increase change on the causal level in the realm of mind, we need correct knowledge, gnosis. Knowledge is true knowledge is based in truth because you know the why. You know the problem and how to implement the solution. When you have that knowledge, you have that responsibility, and you know, if I understand the current human condition, I have a moral obligation to act. Right action. The more people do that, then we are on the pathway, on the road to freedom. So, First, you must get mad. The emotion of anger is a vital and relevant force that can be a great activator and transmuted towards motivation to act when there are profound injustices occurring in reality. The New Age deception of, oh, don't get angry. Never get angry at anything. Don't focus on the negative. Ooh, that person is angry. Cringe. It makes you feel icky, right? That's bullshit because of this quote right here. St. Thomas Aquinas. He who is not angry when there is just cause for anger is immoral. Why? Because anger looks to the good of justice. And if you can live amid injustice without anger, you are immoral as well as unjust. I am not talking about petty anger. Oh, this person cut me off or whatever. I'm talking about righteous anger. Children are being violated. Humanity is being violated. The enslavement of the species and the planet. The ignorance of how to truly act in the world. The ignorance to morality and natural law and what true freedom is. That should piss you off. It should make you mad. Now, of course, anger is the element of fire, and fire can be honed. And you can utilize that and transmute it as a motivational force, but it still has to be transmuted. You still need to act, harness, and then act. So what we sacrifice today will fall. What we sacrifice today will fall tenfold on our children and grandchildren. What efforts have you given towards freedom? Ask yourself. Actions actualize, and the effects will no doubt ripple through generations to come. If you are standing by with idle hands, then know this: you are currently on the wrong side of history. If you are complicit, if you are idle, if you are stuck, if you are sidelining, that energy, that spirit of you is adding to the destruction or the involution of humanity and all beings. It is supporting the parasitical condition of the world versus symbiosis. Actions actualize, right? In reality, our actions perform the energy that construct what is happening. Cause and effect. Cause, the mind, the state of mind, and then we perform the actions, which creates a cause and effect as well. If we act in the world, if it's immoral, that's a violation. That's adding to the condition of slavery. If we act morally, then we are in alignment with creation. Stick this right here. Still got a steady flow, about 78 people, looking great. Hope you guys are having a good time and getting great value out of this investment. All right. Getting close to the end, y'all. And then we're going to do an open discussion. So, going back to that, what we sacrifice today, keyword sacrifice. This reality in nature, everything sacrifices. Everything. What is sacrifice? From the Latin, sacra, meaning sacred. And from the Latin, facere, to make, to do. So meaning the offering of something sacred. Giving up something sacred. Well, what is sacred? I would say for the individual, your energy, your spirit is sacred, is of creation, is sacred. Everyone viewing right now is sacrificing their time and attention to watch this presentation. And I'm sacrificing as well. Everything has this certain transaction, right? Currency, transaction. Sacrifice is giving your time and attention and action towards a goal. Sacrifice, which is the exchange of energy, can be done as a free will choice, consciously, or a conditioned response, unconsciously. Either way, there will be a giving and a receiving. If you say you want something, energy is required. Sacrifice is required if you say you want something. Napoleon Hill, great achievement is born of great sacrifice and is never the result of selfishness. This time period right now we are celebrating, I'm celebrating, everyone should be celebrating spring, the season of life, where we can sacrifice and we can give reverence and offerings. Of course, the cultural religions, they want to promote that separation of nature and individual and humanity, right? So this is looked at as a pagan way of life. So we all sacrifice we all sacrifice. Now, if we want to create change, if we want to end the condition of slavery, we're going to need a lot of sacrifice. A lot. We're sacrificing potential endeavors that one may have hoped they could pursue in this life. But they recognize the moral obligation and the duty to resist and to activate within the spiritual war. That's what a spiritual warrior is. A warrior means you're at war with something. Well, what are you at war with? You're at war with deception, lies. You're at war with yourself for the erroneous belief systems, the inconsistencies, the lies you tell yourself that thwart from forward progress. The religions. You're at war with the social engineers for the people that are ignorant and that are causing harm. Now, do I mean go out and take physical kinetic action? We're not there yet. That time will come. Right now, we have the opportunity to use the digital platform to influence minds, to affect change in other ways before we get to that stage. So, sacrifice. We need to make the conscience free will choice, right? Not the conditioned response. People think of energy vampires. Energy vampires, what people are unconscious of, they are unconscious to the cause of an energy vampire. They are unconscious to the cause of their own sacrifice. They are giving their energy to something and they're unknowing. They do not know they are doing that. Everything is a give and take, a give and receive. Everything in nature, amongst all life. So they are getting drained of their life force, getting drained. That's because they are unconscious to the sacrifice that they are making. So we need education of causal factors, and we need to activate our free will. Learn the ways of universal law of cause and effect. As we break the law, so do we lose our freedom. Recognize your free will. Realize your free will. know your free will. Use your free will in harmony with universal will and be free. This is an ancient Hermetic quote. This is about we are endowed with willpower, free will, which is the active force of spirit that allows us to choose our decisions. And we need to choose to fight this war. So I'm going to use an analogy, the acorn and the oak. An acorn and the oak tree are genetically identical, but you cannot get lumber from an acorn. Why? That's the question, right? An acorn and an oak tree are genetically identical, but you cannot get lumber from an acorn. Why? That's the question. This is very relevant to free will and activation. I'm doing this as an allegory, an observation in nature. So, the acorn, excuse me, the acorn and the oak tree. The acorn itself is pure potentiality. Potentiality is when something contains the ingredients to become something else. Meaning, humanity has all the ingredients inside: spirit, higher order thought function, consciousness, all the ingredients to evolve, to become something else, to activate. What is that process that activates the acorn into the oak tree? The oak tree is actuality. So from potentiality to actuality. Actuality is when an object fulfills its potential and becomes something else. So what is for an individual to activate and to step on that battlefield to help influence change and create change? It needs to fulfill its potential. The innate gift of free will is potential, but actualizing in reality is an act of willpower. Thoughts, emotion lead to action. That's the order. Potentiality is thoughts and emotions, the internal aspect. Just like the acorn with all its ingredients inside, internally, in its seed. And then under the right conditions, once it fills its potential, boom, the spirit activates. And the will of that acorn and creation ignites and sets roots. Same thing with a human being. Aligning our thoughts and emotions with truth and natural law and morality. So as I think, potentiality is something, yep. So as I think, so I feel, and so I act, which leads to actuality. Actuality is when an object fulfills its potential and becomes something else. Something what? An activated human being. Aligning their thoughts, emotions, and actions to natural law. And they're fighting within this war because they have the correct diagnosis, the correct knowledge of what is actually going on. And then they are acting on it from their care. So the thought is the knowledge, the awareness, the information, the correct knowledge. The emotion is the care. And the action is actually constructing and performing in the world, sitting at the computer, writing presentations for educational purposes, out in the world doing that. That free will and activation. A lot of people are stuck, like I said earlier, in the liminal space. In the middle. They're stuck there and they don't know why. That's because they have not fulfilled their potentiality. They have not activated. And 9 out of 10 times, it's going to be in the thought. In the thought. It's always going to start in the thought, but there can be emotional hang-ups as well, emotional heart control as well. But it's your job to figure that out, your responsibility. So, preformed energy, karma. We're getting close to the end, y'all. We can't, we're talking about spirituality. We gotta touch on karma. We already have. It's called natural law. But the word karma etymologically derives from Sanskrit, and it means action. That's exactly what the etymology, the definition of the word, it means action. It refers to the law of cause and effect, stating that every action has consequences. Positive actions lead to positive outcomes, while negative actions lead to negative outcomes. Karma also implies that these consequences may not only affect the current life, but also the collective of the spiritual domain. It emphasizes personal responsibility and accountability in life. Karma is energy, performed energy, but it builds up. It's not instant. Oh, I stole a wallet. I walk outside. 5 minutes later, I get hit by a car. That's not karma. In certain cases, that could work. It depends. There's a lot of factors on what it is, the environmental influences, who you're doing it to, etc. But karma itself, action, act, ion, performed energy, is energy building up in a flow, in a rhythm. We need to understand the condition of humanity. It's on a delay. Society can act immorally, and then we slowly enslave ourselves. So if we are going to create change, and we get people activated to create change, and you have an expectation that you're going to see true freedom in your lifetime, that is an illusionary expectation. Because it's going to take maybe many lifetimes or many generations. But the fact remains, the truth remains, that it is the right thing to do, to engage and activate. But karma, yes, karma on an individual life, yes, but it occurs over lifetimes in a rhythm. Karma in the aggregate, this is the law of freedom. As any given society acts immorally, they will become enslaved. As any given society in the aggregate becomes moral, then slavery will decrease and freedom will increase. The law of freedom. What about dharma? Both of the karma and dharma, yes, they're both from Hinduism, right? Taking an aspect of religion, of spiritual practice. Dharma in Hinduism, it refers to the moral and ethical duties and responsibilities that an individual must fulfill in life. It also encompasses righteousness, natural law, order, and truth. In Buddhism, Dharma can refer to the teachings of the Buddha, as well as the natural law or universal truth that governs the universe. In Jainism, it refers to the path of righteousness and the moral code that guides one's conduct. Overall, Dharma is about living in harmony with the natural order and fulfilling one's obligations and duties. Dharma is moral right action. That's what it is. I am pursuing my dharma by trying to educate the public, to influence and create change. I am on my dharmic path. So, that means responsibility. Owning responsibility means you understand the non-aggression principle. You owe others one thing: do not initiate harm. Every wrong behavior is a form of theft. Do not steal. And then, of course, if you are transgressed upon, you have the right of self-defense. If violated, you have the right to stop the harm by force, by any means necessary with discernment. And of course, understanding non-aggression and self-defense, you understand first principles of self-ownership, meaning that you have possession and control and usage of your body. You are responsible for your actions. Responsibility is your ability to respond. So that's what we need. We need to understand our responsibility. And we also need healing, right? Spiritual healing for balance and holistic well-being encompasses a journey towards harmony of mind, body, and spirit. It involves nurturing and a deep connection with oneself and the universe. Recognize the interdependence of all aspects of existence. Through practices such as meditation, mindfulness, and energy work, individuals seek to restore equilibrium by aligning oneself to the natural flow of life. This healing process is continuous and is required during a state of violence, duress, and dis-ease. Healing means becoming whole, not you have became whole. You are on the path of becoming whole, holistic. In a state of slavery where for thousands of years of generational mind control, we have all had trauma. We have all had mind control instilled, programming and conditioning instilled. It is part of the healing journey to heal ourselves from these erroneous traumatic experiences, but understanding that our responsibility for ourselves as adults, as spiritual adults, we need to have that awareness that as we progress in this war and in this battle, healing will be continual. So take care of yourself. Care for yourself. Be wise where you invest your spiritual currency. The divine connection. Becoming a holistic spiritual adult recognizes the laws of nature as the only true law. In reality, of course, government is bullshit, is illegitimate, right? Natural law is a supreme authority which is immutable, non-man-made, universal, and binding to all human beings. And of course, the meaning of life is freedom. So what is your relationship to natural law, to nature itself? Reverence, exchange of energy. What is the connection? The only solution is a spiritual solution. Individuals becoming truly enlightened regarding objective morality and natural law first, then teaching it publicly. An individual means non-divisible, non-divided. The word individual means non-divided. Thus, action or inaction of a person will add to the whole of slavery or the endeavor of freedom. The consequences are inevitable. You either contribute to the ending of slavery or you're complying to slavery. The choice, as always, is yours. The real twin flames, the true will and true care. Again, ask yourself, what do you truly care about? Care is the generative principle, the generating life force, your energy that is the driving force behind your actions. When the mind and heart are in alignment and not in contradiction, this is unity consciousness. I touched on this in my last presentation. The true will and the true care. As I think, so I feel, and so I act, in harmony with nature, fixed on that point, that fixed center of truth. My relatives, you are a living mystery school. It is time to begin the process of dismantling and distilling the false ideologies that are immoral and in opposition to nature and truth. The first step is being brutally honest with yourself on all levels. This is a stepwise progression of course correction. Just as there are no right angles in nature, there are no sudden curves or fixes in this journey of self-discovery. The spiral ritual is a path of willpower, courage, integrity, care, justice, and what you do on a day-to-day basis will determine the whole, the condition. Embrace psychological death of oneself. Like the phoenix rising from its ashes, you too must rise from the stagnant beliefs and awaken to your true self. This process is continuous and change is continual, and the consequences for all choices are inevitable. This is your responsibility to begin the spiritual journey. If you know, you know. If you care, you do. And if you don't, you'll be sacrificed. From the social engineers, they will take advantage of you, suck your life force energy out. So, my friends, my relatives, my spiritual relatives, that was part 1 of my presentation. Part 2, I'm going to dive into another category of animism and what that means and the true and accurate perception of what animism is related to the natural world. There's so much misinformation about what animism is in general and the practices that go along with that, and how animism itself, that worldview, that shift in perspective will absolutely aid in this spiritual war and this endeavor for true freedom, morality, and symbiosis. So, again, my name is Will Keller. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. I hope you found value. It was a long one, I know, but now let's go ahead and get to the open discussion. Again, thank you so much for your time and attention. All right. Thank you all. Appreciate it. We got my brother Logan. Let's go ahead and bring him on in here. Get a little discussion going. Add to the stage. Oh, there we go. Yeah, buddy.
What's up,
man?
brother?
Hey, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well. Yeah. What another masterpiece you just put together there, man.
Thanks, brother. That means a lot, man. For coming from you, that means a lot. It was a long one. Yes, it was. And that was like, I had the other half of that, which it was going to be its own presentation as well. But I had to split it up. This presentation had to have been split up because it just got so massive. I guess that's what happens when you give yourself a little more time to work on something. I mean, it grows.
This is the topic, it's going to be hard to fit it all into one session.
Yeah, and I think
so much to unpack there.
Something that that I could say that I should have said it on the outro of it. You know, remember I wanted to focus on the meaning and purpose, getting
Mm.
to that bullseye. What does it mean to aim for that bullseye? Of course, when we talk about spiritual practices, I mean, in there's many pathways up the mountain, but the mountain is still there, right? So that's important. What daily practices, breath work, energy work, meditation, contemplation, concentration, right? There's so much emphasis on actual meditation when people don't even know that all that means is bring to the middle, bring to the center. I think meditation has been actually used for deception because
Mm.
there's a lot of people that don't need meditation. You don't need to, what they call, quiet the mind. You need to engage the mind. You need concentration and focus and contemplation. That's what introspection is. It's to engage the mind, to fire it up, because so many people are passive on it. So,
Yeah.
your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I love it, man. There's already so many different directions. But on the meditation aspect, there are two kinds of meditation that a lot of people are not aware of. They think of like, oh, empty your mind. It's the very like Yoda kind of esque version of that. But there is interoceptive and exteroceptive
Mm,
meditations. Andrew Huberman talks about this: is where is the focus going, and that is going to determine where is your natural focus, and then where do you need to counterbalance that. And yes, the typical thought of meditation is very much the interoceptive, just empty yourself, think nothing, do nothing, um, which is kind of the more feminine modality,
yes,
which is no accident. This is the new age way to kind of, demasculize the masculine and bring, you know, typically men that are involved in that area tend to kind of get steered away from their masculine energy through these practices. Another thing I've been really drilling down on is, as a practitioner and studier of magic,
mm,
there is a masculine and feminine version of magic, and the feminine version is what is taught in like the secret, the law of attraction and these kind of things of like feminine magnetism and a de-emphasis of action, right?
exactly.
Both are valid, but it depends on who you are and where your power is as an individual, and that's important to know thyself and to show up as you.
Dude, yeah, 100%. And that's where the polarization comes in, because when you're polarized, you're obviously, that has an effect. That has a huge effect. I like what you talked about, the book The Secret by Rhonda Burns, right? I got into that documentary and all the books and stuff like that. But it's very much just focused on magnetism. It's like a sliver of natural law and how the real law of attraction actually works. And yes, missing the active, the willpower that's in there, the action that must be performed. So there's no reason why they want men to be in their opposite polarization, right? Because I mean, when you're at war, the first thing you have to do is declaw, neuter and defang
D-ball.
and deball the men, because the men, protectors, the active, kinetic acting, and constructing in the world. So of course, I mean, there's a rhyme and a reason to what they're doing. It's very much related to energy and polarization.
Yeah. And I wanted to touch on something too, whether you intended this or not, but I dropped in the comments when you first started. the meaning and purpose is the masculine and feminine aspects of spirituality. The
Exactly.
the meaning is the intrinsic essence, which is the feminine, the beingness, and the purpose is the application through action,
Exactly,
is the
dude.
masculine. It's beautiful.
Yep. You just did an excerpt from part 2 presentation.
Uh,
It's
sorry,
perfect.
sorry to
No, no.
give it away, man.
Oh no, dude. That's the thing. This, like what you just mentioned and what I said that I'm going to mention, other people know. It's observable in nature. This is truth. This is not like, oh, I developed the concept and this is what it is. We are recognizing what is in nature, and that very much meaning and purpose. I touched on
Mm-hmm.
this in my return to nature presentation. That is the macro, divine feminine and divine masculine, meaning
Love it.
and purpose. We have this on the collective sense of humanity, our human species, meaning and purpose, and also on the individual,
Yeah.
meaning and purpose.
Yeah, it makes me think of the concept of the tool, which is to me one of the most spiritual concepts that there is. A, a tool is
Mm,
something that, you know, brings it, it's a magical device. It brings about a certain outcome that can be utilized by a conscious user, you know, and a tool has a meaning and a purpose. Same
absolutely.
same kind of thing. There's what it is and then what it's used for. Just like consciousness itself and the human being and the body and existence.
100%, dude.
These are all tools. I think the concept of the tool is so underrated. I don't hear people talking about this a lot, but to me, it's so central to understanding just the
What do you
dynamics of everything.
This is what the body, the vessel is.
Mm,
It's a tool for us to experience, learn, and grow. Right? Consciousness. We're using this vessel, and all other things. I mean, this is the problem, even with modern spirituality in the New Age. Right? They want to be. They they don't. They think that technology, like computer tech and this kind of stuff, isn't part of the solution. Right? They want to move away from that, when I absolutely see that we need to understand the tech. We need to see it and educate ourselves that it is a tool and it can be used by the wielder. It all depends on how we use it, especially
mhm.
if we're trying to create change in the world.
Right. And then taking it beyond the physical, tools can be metaphysical, they can be conceptual ideas. Every This is what I'm saying. Everything in existence can be a tool because what is reality? It is the immersive experience to develop your consciousness. So everything within reality is a tool with that purpose. Taking
Mm.
it back to purpose, it is something that is here to advance you if you know how to use it. Of course, you have to know how to use the tool properly, and that's what consciousness and intelligence is all about, right? You could hand a highly sophisticated tool to a moron, and you just be like, "Oh, what's this?" Like, does it's not going to do them a lot of good because they don't know how to actually utilize that. So my point is that everything is a tool, or at least has the capacity to be a tool. Every thought, every belief, every object, every experience, you know, um, a pathway,
Mm.
right? Like a hobby, get like me playing the guitar. The guitar is a tool. I can learn so much about natural law, about myself, about magic, just through that one thing. That's what
Yeah,
I love about that.
absolutely, man. Dude, well said. Um, I remembered what I wanted to talk about, and I was hoping you were coming on here. Let's talk about the season of sacrifice. It is spring, so Ostara blessings, vernal equinox. This time period, I want to talk about. What is it primed for? The social engineers obviously utilize the energy that is, or this rhythm of energy that we are in. I think I got some. Actually, let me pull up. I had a couple slides. So March 20th, it's usually the 3 days before spring, is the build up to the season of sacrifice. And let me go ahead and let me just upload those right here. Show some people. So what is the season of sacrifice? Oh, I'm sorry. I said the 3 days leading up. Sure, the energy does build up, and it's continuum building in a gradual sense. But the season of sacrifice, on the third day after the spring equinox, the sun breaks past the equator and fully emerges from its tomb, right? Tomb meaning the southern hemisphere, meaning the season of death or winter. This represents the sun rising from the dead and begins its journey towards its highest power at the summer solstice, right? So let me go ahead and in sun worshiping traditions, there were sacrifices in the ancients, animal sacrifices. It's the spilling of blood, right? They would put this in their crops when they were planting, sowing the fields. This is what they did. Why'd they do that? And I'm not saying that's right, but I'm just telling you what happened. And we're going to dive more into it. It happens because the energy is in the blood. The life force is seen in the blood. The water, if you've seen my water presentation, people, the water is in the blood. So this is what they would do. It was an offering a sacrifice, a giving of something sacred, like blood. Now, of course, there's many ways to give energy off than sacrificing an animal or your own blood or whatever may be. The social engineers, they still believe in this old religion of bloodletting. And they create, they've influenced, they've pulled off all these events during this time period. Let me pull up some of the dates of during this time. And I don't want to, this is my favorite time period of just the energy. It's spring. I love spring. So although I'm saying the season of sacrifice, there's a light and a dark for that. The season of sacrifice is when you are giving your energy. It's the seeds that you are sowing, whether that be mentally, physically, right, in your garden, but mentally, the mental seeds that you sow, so that later on in the season of harvest, you're going to reap what you have sown. It's the energy, it's the natural energies in this time period. It didn't load up. Here it goes. So, the season of sacrifice, blood rituals and dates. You got the Battle of Lexington and Concord, April 19th. So when is the season of sacrifice? It is March 19th all the way up to May 1st. May Day.
Yeah.
So here's some of the dates. I'll leave that up there just for a quick moment. And again, this is actually Mark's slide. There's probably been tons more.
Yeah.
Yep, spring equinox.
Some big events in there, man.
Yeah, Columbine, Heaven's
Port
Gate,
Arthur,
cult suicide.
Yeah, Heaven's Gate. Those were the two I was looking at. Waco. I was born in Waco, man.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Huh. BP oil spill. Yeah, so um it's like, why do they do that this time of year? And here, this is what I want to say. This time of the year, the natural section for us, of course, in the northern hemisphere, it's obviously fall on the other side of the planet, southern hemisphere. Um, but in the spring, the Western world, this is the time of fertilization. The animals are coming out, they're mating. The energy is one of fertile grounds for the
Fertility.
substrate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Our consciousness is actually coming out of winter into new beginnings, into life. It's activating, it's coming online. They do these inverted dates, or these inverted blood rituals, psyops, false flags during this time to disrupt, to cause trauma on the human beings, on the natural rhythm of life, to create a
Fertile
disassociation.
fertile mind
That's right.
for the mind control, the trauma-based mind control. But that is
Bro.
the inversion. It doesn't have to be, it's as above, so below. It's correspondence. It's not just about nature being fertile for the spring season. It is spiritual, mental fertility, and you can take advantage of that just as these twisted fucks are doing that. You can sacrifice, you can plant seeds, you can sow, and prepare for the coming harvest for yourself. That's empowerment.
Exactly, dude. You nailed it. I love it. I love how you said fertile for the mind, right? It's like
Yes.
it's stepping into the slipstream of nature, of consciousness, right? On the planetary um celestial being, the energy that flows. I call it the rhythm of life. It's like you wouldn't want to wait and then all of a sudden start to plant corn, at the end of the year. You're like, oh shit, you missed out on the time period when it was most fertile to plant. So there's a rhyme and a reason in the external natural world that we can observe and see, and that influences us internally, mental, emotional as well. So yeah, you nailed it. I love it. And in my presentation, I was speaking of the principle of inversion and obfuscation. This is the same thing, right? It's fertile for mind control. It's like the opposite of what people are doing. We should be planting for life, right? For
Yeah.
sustenance. I'm talking mentally, right? So and physically, planting, gardening, and all this kind of stuff, they kind of poison it from all angles. But that creates dis-ease for human beings. I would love to grow my own food. It's hard when the soil is so alkaline, and the metals, or the foods are poison and this kind of shit. So there's these direct attacks that they are doing. And, we have to do what humans can do, and that's adapt and pivot and create. So in this time of sowing seeds, that could mean planting seeds in the mind for, doing education. I think it's a fertile time for people to really activate, take in this information and activate and get on the battlefield in some form or fashion, even if that's just a phone in your hand. You got to start somewhere. It's like you have to choose your 0 point. My 0 point was in my garage, hopping on Zoom and chatting with like-minded individuals like yourself, Logan. There's my 0 point. That's how I started. And then from there, I evolved. So,
Yeah, when you come to understand the true cycles of nature, the forces of nature, the energies, when you see what they're doing, it's a fucking joke.
Yeah.
And the power is always with you. That's why I'm saying it's not their season of sacrifice. They're nothing, dude. They're imposters. They're hacks. That's what they are.
Exactly, dude.
You have the power to tap into nature itself. They can't do that and actually bring about your own harvest in your own life. Empowerment. That's what it's all about.
Exactly, man. Well said. I think a lot of people, especially in the so-called freedom movement or spiritual community movement or whatever. I shouldn't even use movement because it's all over the place. It's scattered. So circles, that's a better term, because what does a circle do? Just revolves.
Jerks.
Circle jerks. Exactly. Circle jerks, and it just revolves.
Circle jerks and bowel movements.
Here's a title card that my buddy John and I did for one of our Natural Freedom League episodes. This was I think 2 or 3 years ago. We decided, you know what? Everyone's saying the season of sacrifice and talking about the social engineers and the parasite class. We're going to do the season of sovereignty, right? We're taking it back. Life is not truly being lived unless we are free from the illegitimate rule of others. So, season of sovereignty, like you said, man, it is empowerment. And that's why it's important to kind of, know thy enemy. So many people, I see this, so many people want to know, the names of the high-level social engineers. It's like, dude, you're never going to know that. And how does that create change? You take those fuckers out of existence, right now.
Yeah.
They will be replaced. It's because people don't understand culpability and who is actually performing the energy and the actions, and that's the ignorant masses.
Right.
So
that's right. You don't need to know their names. When you take your power back, you take it from them. You don't need to know who they are. You know what I mean? You reclaim your mind. That's the only way that they have power, is dominion over your mind, shaping your beliefs, your attachments, your behaviors, your identity. When you know who the fuck you are, you're not living from a program that they implanted from you or into you.
That's right. Yeah, man.
And
nailed it.
The sacrifice thing too, I think, is important to reclaim. I love the concept of the season of sovereignty, but it can be the secret season of sacrifice too. Sacrifice is a sacred thing. This is something our ancestors practiced. There is a lot of power in sacrifice. It's something that's actually largely been lost. No one wants to sacrifice anything. They want everything for nothing. They're entitled, just lazy, spoiled brats. You know what I mean? Yep. By and large, in the modern day, sacrifice is one of the greatest powers that we have. Is understanding the reciprocal nature of the universe, that to receive you must give. It is transactional, and that kind of gets a bad rap as well. You know what I mean? Like, thinking transactionally, like it's kind of tied to this hatred of money and all this kind of thing. Money itself, I think money is natural. It is man-made, but it is made in the image of the natural ecology of energy. That's what it is. Everything works through this. It's Gabo, the rune. Yes. Gabo.
Yes. Absolutely.
Everything is give and receive. It's also masculine and feminine polarity as well.
Yeah, one of the biggest, well said, by the way, one of the biggest kind of takeaways I hope people get is the emphasis on relationships from this presentation, right? I mean, it's all about relationships. This is what this reality is. How we are in relation to, right? How we are the experience that we're having and its relation to truth and everything that I talk about. But yes, it goes hand in hand with energy exchange. Again, and these are, I like to get to etymology, but they're still words that I'm using. It's understanding and comprehending what they mean in nature, right? I could say a certain word or express a certain concept, and if someone isn't picking up on what I'm putting down, then there's going to be a contradiction there. And that's where relativism sinks its roots, because relativism, one of its first tenets, it wants to obfuscate words. Because as soon as someone thinks reality is relative or words are relative and they have no meaning, then we can't what? We can't communicate. And soon as people can't communicate, it's done. Enslavement. Total enslavement.
Words have purpose. Communication is the purpose. If you have no meaning, you have no purpose.
That's right. That's right. I want to go back to Patty's question. Can action be taken with purpose on an energetic level? For instance, if a masculine and feminine got together with intent to create change. Yeah.
Absolutely.
100%. 100%. Like collaboration. I think that's what she's referring to. Kind of collaborating to create change.
Well, and specifically in the masculine and feminine framework, whether you're talking about a man and a woman or the masculine and feminine within yourself, that is inner alchemy. That is what magic is.
Yes.
Is joining the masculine and feminine, getting them together with the intent to create change. That is magic.
100%, bro. Absolutely. Yeah, it's like human beings we're nodes as well, right? A node on a plant is it can grow from that node into its own plant, right? So when you're doing grafting or node cutting, I mean, I can cut a plant at the node and then soak it in water. It'll grow roots, and then bam, I got a whole nother tree or a whole nother plant. This is what the people that are doing the one great work and taking action in the world, we are nodes. Every human being is a potential node. So Logan's a node. He expanding and growing that message and trying to reach other people, to inspire other nodes. So what do? It's really, or you can look at it from the actual, the image of the web of weird. It's the connecting points of the threads. It's like node right there, and then it spreads off again. Or it's the intersection of the branches of plants. Like we're all connected, and this is the purpose. This is what reverberation is, and the ripple effect. It's creating that dynamic.
What it makes me think of is the blockchain, which is another
great example.
Another iteration of natural law. That's what's so beautiful about it is each node in the network represents truth. Just like I am capable of understanding truth, Will is capable of understanding truth. We're interconnected. We're carrying truth inside of us, but we're having a conversation right now. Just like the blockchain, all the nodes of the network are communicating with each other, saying, here's my truth. What's your truth? And do they align? And usually that truth is distributed across the network. That's how it works. And when one is not in alignment, the other ones that have truth, the truth of the ledger, the list of transactions on the blockchain, say, well, that's not truth. That's bullshit. We reject that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how we ought to be operating, actually.
Dude,
it's
I
pretty
love it.
Profound.
It is profound. and simplistic as well. Like, I mean, it makes perfect sense that that's a system that can be utilized. See what if we got another few comments. Let's see. Let me take a sip of my lion's mane, man. Long presentation. I'm running on fumes. We'll probably go for another 15, 20 minutes and wrap it up. If anybody have questions, go ahead and put them in the chat right now if you don't mind. There's looks like a couple hundred comments.
Patty said in response to what our comment on her
Excellent
earlier comment, was she says, yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
talking about two people, but
it's talking about two people, and I get what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. I was kind of corroborating the inner and outer, which is always at play, the correspondence there. It definitely applies to both. That is the power of the union between man and woman. This is why there's such a strong war against this. There's such disruption of polarity and healthy relationship dynamics between men and women. It is the single greatest divide in the human collective for a reason.
Yes, exactly. For a really good reason. That polarization, you just take out, you influence, it's 50% of the population. And then that, with a dialectic, the other 50 is going to respond in some form or fashion. So it's affecting 100%. 100%. Patty talked about the April 8th solar eclipse. Yeah, this is right during the season of sacrifice. Interesting enough. So, be vigilant, be aware of your surroundings, and enjoy that portal of energy.
Right.
That's going to be a good one.
That's important.
Yeah.
These natural events are for us.
Yes.
We are natural beings. We are part of the ecology of all of that. They are the ones that are hacking these events and these energies. It's not theirs, so like, I assume you mean by concerned that they're going to do something to co-opt that energy. But the thing itself is natural and beautiful and should not be feared. I don't think that's what you're saying necessarily, but I'm just saying, to me, that's what's important, is to keep that empowered mindset of like, these events are for us. We are natural born human beings of Earth. You know what I mean?
Well
we
said.
Can utilize that energy for ourselves. They might do something. There's nothing we can do to stop that if they're going to. But we can tap into that if we want to and empower ourselves through that. Nature is here for us.
Well said, man. At 100%. There's so much of that going around, the fear porn, and I rarely pay attention to it. I mean, this is something that's been going on for years and years. There's always some date that's going to be the end of days. It's going to be the rapture. You can see how active the Christians are right now. It's the rapture. The eclipse is signaling this and that. It's all, perception management for behavior control. It's to coerce and hijack your energy. These people they're parasites. A parasite needs to feed off of a host. So they don't create anything new. They just manipulate, invert, and that's that.
I think Hyperlink has some questions he would like addressed.
Yeah. Let's see which one. Hyperlink, can you put your main question in the chat again? You had several. I already know where these questions are going.
Yeah.
Here, let's start with this one. Should we sacrifice our dependency on stealing the rights of animals and sensory pleasure? Christ Conspiracy poses this question. Is there a spiritual way to kill an animal? I'll give him this one question because it's nonstop on this. And I'm not sure who this guy is, but I've been getting a lot of the vegans coming after me. And I stand my ground on it. I mean, I am a vegetarian of 5 years. And but to think that veganism is going to correct and get us out of our current condition of slavery, you're wrong. That's not the pathway. Sure, you could talk about morality, you could talk about rights, etc., etc., but focusing on the belief in human authority, i.e., government, is the first step. Sure, if someone can do that, if someone's on their spiritual path and they can incorporate that in their diet, less harm, I'm all good with that. I agree with that. That's dope. But for the vegans, you are playing into the dialectic, into the polarization, because you have not realized the cause. It has to go in the mind, and it's focused on human to human. We need to clean up our own shit before we can do any kind of change in the animal kingdom, which I would love to see. I would love to see that. But that's not going to happen until we get rid of the governmental institutions and the control systems that regulate all of that stuff. So I see the mass killing of animals as an effect from a cause. So is there a spiritual way to kill an animal? No. Not that I know of. The Native Americans thought so. And I agree with the way the Native Americans operated, because you want to know, they operated with reverence, with respect, with a high regard and a relationship with nature, with their relatives. They used every part of the animal. Now, if we went back to that level of consciousness, we would be fantastic, right? But it's not about going to the past. It's about evolving from there. So, yeah, I keep ranting on that.
I can definitely add some to that from my own personal perspective. I'm not a vegan. I have been vegan before. Personally, mostly for health reasons. I've never been healthier with the diet that I'm eating now. But to your point, Will, the animistic cultures knew how to live in balance and harmony with nature. They didn't exploit nature. They didn't take more than they needed. They took what they needed to survive, and they were grateful for it. And that is where I would like to get to. Instead of, yes, I consume animal products made from factory farming, and that is very not ideal for me. That it's where I'm at as a part of the process. But what I intend to do is own land and live off that land, whether it be crops that I grow myself or animals that I hunt and kill and clean myself, and not need to rely on factory farming anymore. So I can 100% agree factory farming is abhorrent. It should be done away with. And if you want to consume animal products, ideally you should be the one doing the dirty work. You know what I'm saying? And having that spiritual connection to nature and the animal that you're consuming and all of that. I take the kind of more pagan perspective on that. So I admit that I'm not where I want to be, and am telling you where I would like to be in that process.
Well said, man. And I agree with much of you said. And hyperlink, yeah, I wasn't trying to like direct my rant directly at you. It was more about just that topic,
Yeah.
because Logan, I do agree with you. Like there are certain steps that in the collective of humanity that we need to go through before we can have a certain level. So, and understanding that, the main principle of nature is symbiosis, is balance, and natural law always is trying to reach homeostasis, even though the consequences could be negative to the point where we're extinct. I mean, the planet would thrive from that, but that's not our purpose. That's not why we are here. We are here to be in balance, to facilitate symbiosis in nature. And in this current condition, I think that diet is a spiritual choice that not everyone can do, or is willing to do, or is ready to do. So until we get government and that belief in human authority, we reach that critical stage where the capacity and the potentiality of that elevation in human consciousness can operate. I mean, it's like even being a vegetarian. I eat eggs. I do some butter. If we're here to be stewards, there is a balance of being in harmony with animals. And I've been attacked on many angles. Those aren't your eggs. I have wild chickens on my property. They leave 20, 30 eggs around on the property, and then the cats eventually come over and eat them. There is a process. Same with honey. It's like, so there's a give and a receive, a give and a take, and that is symbiosis. So we need to I'll touch on this. We can do both. No, you can do both is what you're saying. You're saying a lot of people can't. A lot of people can't, right? For you to be fully vegetarian, first, are your veggies even sustainable, bioavailable in nutrients? I mean, there's so many poison crops, and the ground is infertile in a lot of areas. A lot of people are eating, vegetables and stuff that are that have no nutrition in it. I mean, it is a fact. You see a lot of vegans that are malnutrition. Can it be done? Yes. It takes dedication, and sometimes, you have to take into consideration ancestral energy, the origins of our ancestors, where that energy is comprised in our genetics as well, and in our epigenetics. So the transition is long and there's a long process of that. So can it be done? Yeah, people can do it. But getting on the battlefield so we can get that first most crucial stage of the enslavement of our species, humanity, since we are the stewards and we are there to take care of the animals for that balance. No change is going to happen for the planet, for the animal kingdom, for these ecosystems, until humanity cleans up their own shit. I'm talking about in the aggregate. I mean, sure, a community can go and escape and, live in the outskirts and, have a homestead vegan lifestyle. Yeah, that's great. All 15 of you guys are really creating change for the current human condition. So
it's a very complex and nuanced topic. Every individual is different. I think ancestral diet has a lot to do with it as well. Not everyone even has the capability to healthily just completely cease from animal products. And it's more of a personal thing than certain people would like to acknowledge.
Yeah, for sure. And here's my main issue with it, hyperlink. listen to me. You don't hear me, listen to me. The reason why this is such a big problem is because it's polarizing. This is where
Very,
all the
very.
militant vegans come out of the woodworks on my comments, emails, nonstop. They all come out and they all think we must accomplish this goal, right? We must. This is the only way. You do it. Where's your work? I'm doing what I got to do. I'm doing what I can do. I advocate that for several years. But where's your work? Put it out there. Let's get to it. So if we can, we should push towards both. Yeah, if somebody can, go for it. That's a personal decision. We need to understand that we are in a state of war and enslaved. So we need people to get out there and talk about objective morality and the illusion of government so people can quit their cult. And sure, you want to talk about extending morality to the animal kingdom, which is true. I totally agree with that. You can do that. You can educate that. Just like Mark has. Mark has his few episodes and then he doesn't try to go there anymore because it's so polarizing. It's not him, it's other people that still need to do more of the work and get from that reactive polarization to more of the balance, and need to understand that there are certain objectives that we need to accomplish in the aggregate.
Right.
Yeah, I know you guys have a weekly discussion. If this is Hyperlink, if this is who I think it is, then I've seen bits of your guys' show, and it's pretty whack, bro. All you guys do is just talk shit about people. So, anyways,
Yeah,
I'm done on that rant.
Specifically mentioned Jeffrey Phillips earlier.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Got it. That's not helping. That's not helping anyone. I'm not trying to be a dick or an asshole, but just getting on a call with a group of people to talk shit about people, to troll people. I'm calling you guys out. I'm calling you guys out right now. This is what I'm doing. This is the meaning and purpose of this rant, is I'm calling you guys out. You guys aren't doing shit. You guys just talk shit, and this does not help the cause. We need true education, effective, efficient education, not trolling. Because all you're doing is putting yourself in a tunnel vision and pushing people's awareness away because of the reactiveness and the polarization. So that's my piece. Let's move on to any other questions. Had to get that out. Be Sacred Space. Everyone go check out her channel. She's I did an interview with her. She's fantastic. Great show. It's always great to see you, Will and Logan, together. You're two amazing duo, and have always had so many amazing gems to share. Thank you, too, for the work you do. Appreciate it.
Thank you, B.
Yep. Yeah. Thank you, B. That means a lot.
Two things I'll say to that. First, I've received your email, B, and I will respond to you soon. B has invited me to join her show, which I would love to do. I'm just extremely, extremely busy right now. Second thing is, we are an amazing duo, and more on that very soon. We're going to be teaming up in a much more significant, formalized way. People will hear more about that soon.
Absolutely. Big news. So, I'm thrilled for that. It's hard to
not spill the beans.
Not spill the beans.
Yeah.
So, excellent.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna wrap it up. Long presentation. Great chat on the after discussion chat. Appreciate you always coming on, Logan. You always add so much. Go ahead and let people know where they can find you and
Thanks,
your
brother.
work. Yeah.
Yeah. Y'all can visit thewizardfactory.com and especially follow me on or subscribe on YouTube. It's where I put most of my specific best quality content, long form stuff.
That's right. Excellent.
Thanks, man. Yeah,
man.
Amazing presentation, brother. Thanks for having me on. It's always a pleasure and an honor and a privilege.
Likewise, man. Thank you so much for hopping on, dude. I'll put you backstage. I'll do my outro and say my piece to the people. Thanks again.
Peace, everybody. Thanks for watching.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, man, what a long show. I love it. I love doing this. I love doing these presentations. I hope you guys have found value in this presentation. Remember, part 2 is coming out in 2 weeks. I'm back on my regular schedule every other Wednesday. It'll be part 2 of the spirituality. We're going to dive into animism, the worldview, the practice, symbiosis with nature. So I'm highly looking forward to that. It's definitely a topic that I'm extremely passionate about. So until then, you guys take care. Thanks for joining. And check out my work, all of my work at willkeller.com. And big shout out to the One Great Work Network where we are streaming to. So my producer, Aaron. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for joining, y'all. Appreciate it.